Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, our production of GovCall, in which we take the time to speak with small cap executives after they put out important news. With us today, happy to have him back, Silas Garrison, the CEO of HealthSpace Data Systems, trades on the CSE and the stock symbol HS. For our friends in the US, HDSLF, and for our friends in Europe on Frankfurt under 38H. If there's one thing we know about governments, whether it's local, state, provincial, federal, they've got a ton of responsibility. We know that. But that also makes them hugely inefficient, especially the nature of government's always changing every 3-4 years. Who amongst us hasn't had a bad experience? And it's usually because one department fails to talk to another, interdepartment, they don't have the communication tools to speak with each other. Well, HealthSpace has solved that problem. They're empowering government's efficiency, and that's led them to become an industry-leading technology company with more than 500 state, local, and federal governments across North America as their customers. Some examples: City of Dallas, San Francisco, Orange County, Illinois, Sonoma County, Jackson County, Missouri, and even the Wisconsin Department of Agriculture. More than just lip service, that's translated into $5 million in year-end revenue for 2020. Their sales pipeline's an all-time high of greater than $22 million, $5.6 million in deals year to date already, and they're targeting $8 million in annual recurring revenue. It's US dollars within the next 6 to 9 months. Best of all, they're fully funded and they're growing because they're doubled their team size, over 30 new hires in the last few months. Here to talk about it is Silas. Welcome back to the show.
Awesome, George. Thanks for having me.
Fantastic corporate update. $3.8 million in new deals just in Q1, $5.6 million in deals since the start of the year. And to put that in perspective, for all of 2020, you had $5 million, which is a great number, $5 million in revenue. Where does this land with your expectations? Is this at your expectations? Did the year surpass your expectations?
Yeah, right now we're on a really nice path to where Q2 started to slow down in terms of contract executions. But what we're seeing is that the skies are lifting from all this COVID vaccine rollout. And this late summer months going into fall, we believe that sales and closures are going to accelerate beyond what we saw in Q1. So Q1 was our largest quarter to date in terms of over $3.5 million in sales. Wisconsin Department of Agriculture. We also just announced Orange County in late Q2. But really what we're starting to see is that we are still on pace with what our early projections were. And, you know, things sometimes in government, they have their own way of creating timelines, a week here or a week there. But we're very much on pace of where we intended to be for this point in the year.
Is Q1 by any chance, is this an outlier quarter because maybe budgets are being spent and that's where the money, starts getting spent by these government, different levels of government? Or is it just your pipeline is now just starting to come through?
Yeah, our pipeline is still just starting to come through. Really what we've actually seen is a replenishment of the pipeline. So obviously we closed, $5+ million in deals just in the first 2 quarters. And what we've seen is actually a replenishment of that pipeline. We actually added over $3.5 million in Q2 to the new pipeline of potential deals. That means that we're seeing more and more deal activity actually month over month and quarter by quarter. So our pipeline, it's all a matter of time. We believe that the heavy majority, maybe you won't bat 1,000 every single time, although that has kind of been our track record. We believe that every single deal in our pipeline has a high likelihood of closing at some point in time, the majority of which we believe will close in under 12 months.
With a pipeline now, at or above $22 million, how are you guys getting that done? Is it partnership driven where you're, a lot of technologies will partner with a big major software company and kind of piggyback them into deals, or are you guys going direct, or is it a combination of both?
At this stage in our growth, it's really all direct. It's built upon relationships. Government is relationship and word of mouth. There is nothing more compelling to a government agency than to hear from a neighboring county or a state that, hey, this is the best we've ever used or seen. I don't know of any more effective tool in very few industries, let alone government, that is the most effective sales tool.
But it's tough, man. I got to tell you, I got to give you guys credit. Going direct to government sounds easy, but really is not. There's bureaucracy, decision making is slow. Even if you can get the decision, budgets aren't there, right? So have you built a moat, for health space? Because George Com software could come up tomorrow, develop a bunch of software, but it's not enough just for me to go with a better price. You got to have the relationships, you got to have that reputation. How far ahead are you of your competitors in this space, even the big software companies?
Even the big software companies, which funny enough, they're largely notorious for not really innovating a lot. Once you kind of establish a beachhead, government is not known for, is known for being a sticky customer, which we benefit from. But then also the inverse of that means that they're reticent to just change technologies willy-nilly. And so they have to have compelling reasons. And we are by far and large creating those compelling reasons. GovCall, HS.ca, not to mention that we're fully cloud-based in our data management. And it's one of the only self-serve data management platforms on the market. We are creating a lot of different moats that protect us technology. We are far advanced than the majority of the competitors on the market. And even ones that have something similar, really, they're still not touching the full functionality and power we have. But now we've added GovCall, another standout element to our product line. Lots of moats. But as you touched on, George, the hardest and the biggest from any new player entering the market is you could create some whiz bang cool technology, but if you have no references, if you have no namesake in the industry,
No.
that's the hardest hill to climb.
The other moat I see is financial stability. Maybe, and this one isn't clearly obvious to people who are just investors, just look at the headlines, is that in the next 6 to 9 months, you want to have $8 million in annual recurring revenue. That's what you guys are targeting. That must do wonders for financial stability because it's annual recurring revenue. And what I really like about it is you're not big customer dependent. So it's not like the state of Texas is 60% of that. And if something goes wrong, your business is at risk. You've got great stability in terms of diversification. And I'm assuming at an $8 million annual revenue run rate, you probably got some great margins there. So have you built the financial moat as well?
Yeah, the financial protection is definitely one of it in terms of the competitive landscape. Obviously, there's massive companies that are that we go head to head against, but that actually never has been an impediment from the customer buying angle. The financial wherewithal, one company being larger than the other, but being cashed up and healthy from a cash flow standpoint absolutely does matter in this space.
You mentioned GovCall a couple of times. I want to talk about that in more detail. Last time we spoke in late April, you had just launched this new platform. It's called GovCall. Maybe some people haven't heard of it yet. It's the first of its kind teleconferencing platform focused exclusively on the government market. And we had a great conversation about its capabilities, but it just launched. In this update, you say, quote, "It has been the fastest to revenue of any product feature the company has ever released." How happy are you guys with GovCall? Tell us a little bit about the revenue, that the uptake you've had from customers, and then let's talk a little bit about the feature set after that, so people can really understand it, given the fact it's off to a great start.
Absolutely. One thing about government is they like one-stop shop buying, and one of the things that has become something that they need to buy or have a growing desire to buy is some sort of teleconferencing, remote communication, remote collaboration. And typically that comes in the form of Zoom or Microsoft Teams, but they're not well loved nor really tooled up for government. So what we saw was a glaring hole in the market, and we collaborated with a company called Iotum to build out GovCall. And Orange County, when we were going through a procurement process with them, they saw it and we demonstrated it for them. And their wheels just started turning. Like, we didn't even almost have to put on a sales pitch. They said, "Oh, we can use it here. We can replace this. We can do that. That'll really accelerate this." And we're like, okay. And so we were able to actually increase their annual recurring revenue, basically just increase the per user seat cost by rolling it in as a bundled deal. And so we believe that we're going to start to see that as kind of like the standard package moving forward with a lot of our new customers that will throw in GovCall as a premium package on top of our normal data management. And so, yeah, with Orange County, we're able to increase their annual recurring revenue by about 20%
Wow.
just
And
by
what is
adding
that? Because
GovCall.
how were you guys able to do that, Silas? What was it about your GovCall that made them even more efficient than using Zoom like we are now, or Microsoft, or Microsoft Teams or something?
It's time and cost savings, pure and simple. These agencies that we work with, there's two things that happen is that one, they are legally under requirements by statutes, by laws to provide services to private businesses. Let's just take a snapshot. A real easy one to understand is restaurants. Restaurants fall into classifications of risk. Risk being what kind of food are they serving? A sushi restaurant is much more risk in terms of foodborne illness than say a burger and fry shop. But these establishments, these businesses, they have to be inspected by a government inspector from the health department a certain amount of times a year. They could be 4, they could be 5, they could be 6, and they're audited on those numbers, and they hold themselves accountable. But if you have to drive across town for every single one to take the time to lug equipment, to go into the restaurant or the facility and do all of this at the same time, part of your workload is also going back to restaurants that may have failed, and you got to check back in with them. It's that check back in process that they're driving to and fro all across town, spending hours and hours in a vehicle. That is the part that we can really first make a huge difference in, where they don't have to go on site to say, hey, George, did you fix it? Just show me, did you fix it? Visual confirmation. Okay, you fixed it. We can reopen you, kind of thing. And so that is a very tangible figure that they can wrap their minds around and see the cost savings, see the time savings. And that means that they can meet their metrics much more easily because they're not having to spend a lot of time in traffic fighting, all kinds of other variables that come with being in person.
Yeah, they can make the first inspection in person, but after that, the follow-ups using GovCall. But devil's advocate, if I'm George the inspector in Orange County, and I got to go to Silas's sushi shop, or at least I got to follow up with them now. Why not just use Zoom or Skype or any of those? What is that GovCall does specifically better than those? That's led you to fastest ever revenue product.
Simply put, is that when you are doing a video conference call as a governmental inspector, you're performing a legal activity, a regulatory activity. And to have it in a disparate platform, one, means you can have extra software, more hurdles, probably more work with your IT department, which isn't their most favorite task. The second thing is that it doesn't tie into the underlying data from which you're regulating. These permits, to us as ordinary citizens, we might see a piece of paper on a wall with a number and a name, Silas's Sushi Shop, 1, 2, 3, 4. But the information that actually backs that permit is a wealth of information, historical, things that relate to the owner, financial, how much money do they owe? And they need to have all of this video interaction bound to that same data. And so what we've done is we tied GovCall into our HS Cloud platform. So when they perform this conference call, not only is it notated, not only is it cataloged, but there's a video recording should they choose to do that. There's also an AI-driven transcript of a word by word accounting of what was said. So there's a myriad of reasons why this is better. But the first, it starts with, okay, there's a legal record of this call happening. Here's what was said. Here's how long it was taking. Here's who the participants were. So there's a lot of reasons why just using Zoom off in the wild on its own or any other video communication platform doesn't really cut the mustard.
Well, now that you explain it that way, it's not even a case of not cut the mustard. It's not even close.
Yeah.
It's just not even close. You're integrated. You've got the private information. But I love the integration. The fact that at that moment you've got all the other supporting information there, which means it's not even close. What do you think GovCall is going to do, given its early success? What do you think GovCall is going to do on two fronts? One, your existing customer uptake. Now that you got real referenceable, Orange County is giving you real referenceable improvement efficiencies, right? What do you think? And what do you think it'll do for opening up new deals? Maybe with government entities that you're on the bubble with in the pipeline, and might help push them over the edge.
So with existing customers, we believe that there's going to be probably a quarter or two where we're just getting the exposure out, just getting the word out, getting them familiar. So many of our customers, we've gone through kind of a heavy growth spurt in the past 18 months. So many of our customers are just now getting to the point where they're comfortable onboarding our software solution. So to throw an additional layer of product in on it, it's probably going to take a quarter or two for that to really start to sink in and us to see the traction from that. But going into 2022 is when we believe that we'll start to see heavy adoption from existing customers. That being said, it's actually easier to sell to a new customer because they're already comfortable with the idea. I'm going to have to adopt brand new software from scratch. So it's a little bit easier to get it into that vertical. What that looks like is we're going to see probably 2/3 of our new customers starting in Q3 start to look at adopting this. So at about 2/3 of our sales pipeline, we anticipate adding this in about Q3 onward. As far as new markets, that's really where we're, I won't say the most excited, but definitely equally excited. We're all about government efficiency, and creating government efficiency for our existing customers is our core focus, but new markets is really where we want to go next. One that we've talked about, or I've talked about frequently on some of these webinar type things recently, is code enforcement. Code enforcement being an agency that operates very much like health departments. They issue licenses, they conduct inspections, they issue invoices, but really focusing on that middle part, that in-person site visit, us being able to bring GovCall into a new governmental industry, a sub-market, if you will, with GovCall will allow us to stand out and as a product differentiator in a way that very little else could. Data management is data management, even though our cloud product is superior to what is on the market. But then you start to unveil something that nobody truly has or even has thought of, which is this whole teleconferencing collaboration embedded within data management. We believe it's going to really help us blow the doors off of new markets and quite frankly, make a lot of noise in front of our competitors.
I just see that. It's clear as day to me that becomes a game changer for you guys, for all these government entities. I'd be looking forward to maybe by the end of the year, as you guys have gotten more and more penetration, maybe putting out, hopefully, if you guys are able to, putting out some projections or numbers for the next 12, 24 months as to what it might do. But I just see that as an invaluable tool. And I think it's just a sign of how great of a team you guys develop over there. And speaking of that, the telltale sign of growth is when you grow your actual, your head count. And you guys have doubled the number of people in your team over the last 9 months with over 30 new hires. See, and that is a lesson for a lot of small cap investors out there. Companies can say a lot, they can talk a lot, but when you're actually hiring, you're taking on a major expense. And when you're hiring over 30 new people, that's a major expense. So you don't do that unless you know your business is growing right now and accelerating growth. Am I reading that correctly?
You're absolutely reading that correctly. We take obviously the hiring of people and actually introducing them into the company is a very serious notion, correct? You imagine adding new people to your team, George, it's they affect the growth. And so we have hired a lot of people, and we've been very selective in not just who we hire, but how we hire, and not only, how we hire, but also considering the cost and the future growth, even the current growth, not even looking into future quarters, but even what we are sitting on right now. The growth is demanded that we invest in the people and growing our team now. It's in all facets of the company. It's in customer support. It's in implementation of the software. It's in sales, which really fuels the kind of cyclical reason why we need more people. And then it's also in R&D and engineering. We're pushing out new products. We're pushing the edge of boundaries of what's even possible for government to do technologically speaking. And so, we're growing this team, but it's not just, by the seat of our pants. We're doing it with exact precision of knowing where we're going, knowing what is possible in this market, and knowing that the bounds and the ceilings for what is achievable for HealthSpace is virtually unlimited.
Given the fact that your core competency is making governments more efficient, I would assume that you guys are internally as efficient as can be, because that you can completely control that environment. So that's I can imagine the kind of people you guys are hiring and precision, and the precision hires you're making. Last question for you. You raised a $6 million war chest at the end of 2020. and a lot of that was for customer volume expectations, and we see that now. The other one was for new products, new features. For example, we saw GovCall. The features that you guys continue to develop, are those coming as a result of requests by customers where they're calling you guys up saying, hey, it'd be really great if we had this, or if we had this, or are you guys driving that solely on what you know because you guys are, experts now and have a really good handle on that?
It's a little column A, a little column B. It is both drivers. We always are listening to the customer market. A really great example of that is when we went through, the world went through COVID, but we as a company and our particular experience of it is that, we quickly pivoted, adding contact tracing, automated text engines or SMS, text messaging engines to the platform. So we're always iterating from a reactive standpoint, but the majority of our work is going into a proactive model. We introduced just this year something that is a little hard technically to quickly, succinctly say, but it's a low-code engine. Basically what it means is that our software platform already being the most malleable configurable product on the market, you can now actually take a customer specific implementation of it and actually add custom widgets, custom code into it to make it do some extraordinarily powerful and unique things that only lived in that customer's implementation. This has accelerated our implementations, means we can get faster to live, faster to that recurring revenue. So we're constantly proactively innovating while also innovating on behalf of our customers in a responsive way.
Last question for you. How does the next 6 months look? How's the next 12 months look? Because it sounds like everything's going really well. Maybe just give us a nice snapshot of your level of confidence and where you guys are going.
Well, our sales pipeline continues to grow quarter by quarter. And we have a number of deals that are in the kind of RFP stage, which, as anybody who's tracked this company before knows that once we go into that bid process, we've got a almost perfect track record in terms of wins. And right now going through that bid process with numerous counties, especially on the West Coast, we expect that our sales and those bid processes to be awarded, accelerating into late summer months and into fall. So over the next 6 months, we believe it's just going to be kind of a ramp up in more sales, kind of like Q1 was really heavy, Q2, not as many closings as Q1, and then that is going to flip. So going into Q3 and then accelerating into Q4. 6 months beyond that, so basically looking on that 12-month timeframe, we're going to start to see a lot of federal money coming down the pipe via grants to these local agencies, which is going to help accelerate the sales cycle. Because as you mentioned at the top of the call, there's one of those fly in the ointments of like, what are the impediments to government making their decision? There's bureaucracy, there's all this, and one of them is budgetary concerns. But we're working with a couple of advisors. One of our board advisors actually works at the FDA, and we're working on putting together a plan of how do we go and help our customers apply for grant dollars that is readily becoming available so that they can pay for the software without having to come directly out of pocket. That's going to really expedite the sales cycle, especially as we head into 2022.
Safe to say, Silas, the way you talk about it, the company is in the strongest position it's ever been, both in terms of customer growth, financial war chest, pipeline. I mean, could it be has it ever been any stronger than it is today?
It has not. Better product offerings, a stronger core competency in terms of what we're doing. Truly, I love what we do. I love working with the customers we serve. And the more we serve in terms of volume, the more gratification you get, because you can see the tangible effect we're making on the market. And it's a self-feeding mechanism. It drives us to create more innovation, more cutting edge utilities. It's what gave birth to GovCall, largely because of what we saw during the pandemic. And George, if you don't mind, I want to leave with like one little story in terms of an anecdote, because we talk a lot about saving time, saving money for government agencies, and a lot of people don't understand how to quantify that. So State of Hawaii helped us quantify that. Actually, they called us up just the other week, just wanting to basically talk about how happy they were, pouring effuse praise on our products, on our team for helping them through the pandemic. So State of Hawaii utilized us for contact tracing, helping them track, patient A to those who they may expose, and they still are using it to this day. And over the course of the past 15 months, this figure is even sometimes hard for me to believe, but they told us that we saved them over 730,000 working days, or the equivalency of 5.6 man hours. That's how much we have been able to save them by them utilizing our software.
5.6 million man hours.
Yes.
Unbelievable. I mean, that's blow your doors off numbers. That isn't like, hey, we just made a nice, solid, incremental efficiency that we delivered to them. That's how do you leverage that? How do you leverage that with other customers? You show that to the state of George, and he's going to say, "Hey, bring that in here. We need that guy." Now more than ever, these governments need those kind of efficiencies. They're all stretched.
Absolutely. No, I mean, it's always, I'm going to use the same term again, but it's a self-feeding mechanism. When you create the happy customer, you can show the tangible results. You can go and use that with, new customer prospects. You have them call the existing customer who's giving that reference, in this instance, the state of Hawaii. It's just going to create a snowball effect. We're already seeing it. I mean, our sales have over doubled over the past year. Our sales pipeline has nearly tripled. Actually, it's up 10x from when I took over as CEO. So late 2018, these are all not accidental things. And the growth that we are seeing is directly because of those experiences. But that one figure I heard from Hawaii, I was blown away and stunned, but very grateful that we're actually achieving the mission that we're setting out to by creating this efficiency.
I know it's true, and I almost don't believe it, because look, I've looked at tons of data. I'm a data guy. And when I hear 5.6 million man hours, that's almost unfathomable to me.
Yeah.
It's not like you're talking about for the federal government. Yeah. This is the state of Hawaii. If you told me did that for one federal government department, the Department of Energy, I say, wow, that's impressive. You do it just for the state of Hawaii. I don't even know how to quantify that. And I'm not using hyperbole there. That's a blow-away to me.
Absolutely.
Well, Silas, look, man, I know it's a team effort, no doubt about it, but you are the CEO and you are leading an amazing team with amazing results. And it's times like this where Agoracom takes even more confidence in our thesis, which is Canadian small cap markets are the new Silicon Valley. This is where you come to find great small technology companies in their early growth stages and have a chance to become part of something really special. And look, we can't make projections. I'm not allowed to do those kind of things. But right now, the trajectory looks pretty unbelievable. And I can't forget the next 6 to 12 months, even though that's what you and I talked about. I look at situations like this and say, I can't wait to see where you guys are going to be in 24 to 36 months. I know that's not something we want to talk about today because that's just too far out there, but I've been around long enough to know that the HealthSpace trajectory looks pretty unstoppable right now. And congratulations on a great first half of the year.
I appreciate it, George. It's always fun to talk with you. I do have a great team that I'm surrounded by, and we're very grateful to be where we're at. And yeah, really, the next 6 months, next 12 months, it just feels like it's always on an up and up trajectory for us. And I do believe that we're on kind of an untapped market. So we're just going to keep pushing forward.
Yeah, we may be watching the growth of one of those great technology companies where people look back 5 years from now and say, oh man, I should have got to HealthSpace back in 2021, because that always happens, right? No matter what, there are going to be people who miss a boat, but I think we're seeing the makings of that, and can't wait to keep growing with you.
Absolutely. George, do appreciate it.
Have a great day, Silas. Thanks for joining us. For everybody at home, you've been watching or you've been listening by podcast on Spotify, Google, Apple, your favorite podcast platform, to Silas Garrison, the CEO of HealthSpace Data Systems. Trades on the CSC under HS. For our friends in the US, HDSLF, and for our friends in Europe on Frankfurt under 38H. You've heard, you've listened. Now your job is to do your due diligence. 2 ways to do that. First, get to the HealthSpace profile in Agoracom, because we know this is new tech. It isn't widgets. It isn't gold. It's brand new tech. So you want to get a handle on it. We give you a great 10,000 foot overview there to understand the company, and then link over the HealthSpace website to do your deeper dive due diligence, because you may be on the cusp of discovering your next great small cap company. Just don't say we didn't tell you so. Do your due diligence. Have a great day. Thanks for joining us. See you next time. Hey guys, this video is over, but don't forget to help your company by liking it and then leaving a comment below. And then don't forget to help yourself by subscribing to our channel so you don't ever miss another great Agoracom small cap video.